Ladies and gentlemen, we are live, Tornado Tag Podcast 104, and we have a special guest for you here tonight. But we want to get into the housekeeping stuff, and then we'll bring him in. Our first thing we want to cover is the Patreon. It's $1 and $5. General support currently, we don't put any more bonus content up on there for now. But the general support, I'm going to also add every month. I'm going to pick one person and send you a message and go on our merch page and pick a t-shirt, whatever style you want, t-shirt, hoodie, whatever you want to do.
Very cool.
So we're going to give you all of our Patreon people a chance to win a free merchandise or maybe a shirt and a sticker. We'll figure it out, but we're going to do that. But we want to thank Tommy B, the Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop, Brad Zalonis, the Hyreth in Other Words podcast, Jay, and Austin Blackwell.
The mysterious Jay. I got to take Andy's spot here.
The mysterious Jay. Andy not with us tonight. He's big time in us now.
Hey, he's too busy winning titles.
Winning titles, you know, he's under a strict WYLN contract now.
That's
he has to go show up at all these different shows. It's bullshit.
Yeah, we lied last week.
Yeah,
we lied. We said we would have the PPW television champion. We do not.
No,
we do have the King of the Sanctuary though.
Yes, we'll get into that in a moment.
Why have a champion when you have a king?
Yes, we also want to quick thank our sponsor, Abaddon Tattoo Studio, a unique professional experience nestled in the small town of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. They provide high quality tattoos in a relaxed, professional, and sterile environment. So you can check all that links below. But no further ado here. Let's bring in our guest, the Dark Horse, Johnny Moran.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey bud, how you been?
Not bad. You know, losing titles, winning titles. You know,
yep. You're just swapping titles here and there. You're taking titles in different places, dropping them other. I would say right now, like I think since pandemic, you've been really making a name for yourself all over the place.
Yeah, it was funny because I told people like before the pandemic hit. My March and my April, I had every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday booked. And I was doing 3 shows a weekend. And then I was like, yeah, it's probably going to be a slow start, like once it starts. And I've been wrestling 3 shows every weekend since the pandemic has, I guess, lifted a little, you know?
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, this is just my personal opinion, but I want to hear from you. Do you think your mind state and I would say almost like a rebirth of professional wrestling or a love for it has come back since pandemic?
Very much so. What really happened is, you know, you're sitting home and you start realizing like what happens when everything's taken away. And then you realize like things you really do love, and when they're gone, what do you do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here just watching old wrestling. My God, like I need to put a fire on my ass, or like, cause I'm only getting older every year, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to, like old WWE, old WCW, old territory stuff?
I don't have a go-to. I like to go all around. I just like to mesh it up, you know, like see what I can find. I do religiously watch NXT UK.
It is just an entirely different style. It is.
Yeah, and I love that style, man. Like if they ever signed me, I would be like, can I go over there for like a year? Like, I would love, like Joe Coffey is like my favorite. Like I would love to make it up with that big boy.
When it first started, I liked what I was watching, but the look of everybody in the roster wasn't for me. Like everyone looked the same, and I fell off. I didn't go back to it.
That's what Christina Marie said, the same thing. That she's like, they all look like. Well, then I had a beard and a freaking top knot.
Yeah,
like, they all have beards and top knots. They look like they're wrestling you, and you are wrestling them.
Yep,
it's a mirror match.
Yeah.
But since pandemic too, you change your appearance. You really change your body. I mean, really taking this to another level. Really working hard, and it definitely shows. And the payoff has definitely been there. You look amazing.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. There's this girl I went to college with. Her name's Christina Marie. She lives out in Las Vegas.
Might have heard of her. Dominating the entire East Coast.
No. Different.
Not bad.
Christina.
Oh, different Christina Marie.
Yeah, no, she went to college with me, and she lives in Vegas.
Oh,
so
right.
Yeah, Italian girl that's named Christina Marie. There's like 1,000.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I saw she lost a lot of weight on keto. So I just sent her a message. I'm like, hey, I hate to bug you, but like, how does this all work? Like, what do you do? And then she just sent me like 6-7 articles. So I'm like, I have nothing to do but read these. So like, why not? And I just started reading them, started figuring it out and what works for me and where I need to keep my carbs at to keep myself, lean.
Mhm.
Like right now, I try to keep myself at like 25 grams of carbs every day.
Yeah, I was trying to talk you into a beer when we were out last time, and you're like, "Listen, man."
So do
I
the
work-
extra guys. The extra guys after RCW were like, "Oh, come on, have a beer," and I'm like, "Not until after Sunday."
Yeah. I was like, I finally get a chance to hang out with John. I want a beer, and he's just like, "Nope." I was like, "But it's really good beer." He's like, "Oh, okay."
No, you had the best IPA I've ever tasted in my life. What's the name of that one? Hypnotic.
It was H2O, I believe, or something like that, or like, but it's made by Equilibrium.
That was it.
A brewery out of New York.
Equilibrium. That was it.
I had a few people trying it that night. I was like, I can't believe this is on tap. It's not easy to come by beer, and it was at the place we were at. But yeah, and then besides wrestling, kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit over in the High Tension Wrestling Network and having one of the most talked about and watched podcasts.
Next to Tommy Talks tape.
Tommy Talks tape just came in like a ball of fire. I think that thing just took over.
Yeah.
So how was it stepping into that podcast world?
It was something I've always wanted to do. And I always wanted to have my own podcast and like try it. And then I was just talking to Alex one day and he told me, he's like, "Man, if you really want to do it, like you can." He's like, "You're not doing anything else. It'll keep you relevant." And I'm like, man. And then I thought, I'm like, well, like I just didn't want to like go off like just me and Alex just talking every day. So I was like, what are we going to do? And then Moran and Friends, the actual name came from Johnny Patches. He was giving me a group at New York Championship Wrestling. And I was like, I don't know about Moran and Friends. I'm like, that sounds like the Hulk Hogan cartoon. And he's like, it basically is. He's like, this 90% of this roster is all your buddies that like you just told them talk to Johnny Patches, and they gave me your name. So I thought they were good wrestlers, and that's why they're on my roster. So I always was like, man, it's a good name, but like it's not for a group. So then we just came up with the Moran Gang and just kept that going. Yeah. But then when Alex was talking about this podcast, like letting me have a podcast, I'm like, what if I interview like people I know and like people I'm comfortable with, and we call it Moran and Friends? And I'm like, if I get through one season and like interview like one season worth of friends, that'll be enough. Like I scratched my itch. Like if it doesn't catch on, whatever. I did one season, it was there. We're currently on season 2. We recorded Big Dust last night.
So excited to hear that.
Yeah, no, he has a really good story, and that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to give like anyone I know, anyone that's my friend, like just a platform to tell their story. Like I always give people, like I feel like the perfect example is Jason King. Jason King's episode, like I just wanted to give him the stage, and I knew he was a storyteller, so like he got every story he wanted to get in and everything he wanted to get out. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to give any of my friends, unless you're Tommy Vex and you watch baseball when you're on my podcast.
I remember messaging Alex, and I was like, "How'd it go?" And he goes, "He didn't care. he didn't give a shit." But
I did 3 of his, and they're amazing. So watch
3. He's so funny because I think a lot of people take him very seriously, but don't, because he doesn't even take himself seriously. Really, he just likes to fuck with people.
I love Tommy Vex. He like literally every day makes me like laugh or say Jesus Christ. He's one of my favorite people.
I will say I'm very honored to be in that group chat, because boy, that has been entertaining. So yeah, you start off season 1 and you announce it with some amazing artwork. Where did you guys get that artwork done from?
Hiroto, I can't say his last name. It's something with an F. Hiroto, he does work for Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, AEW. He drew the Scooby-Doo cartoons that are in movies. Man, he has so much X-Men, I think. Like, he literally has an IMDb and
of just his art.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, that's like all in like cartoon movies. Like, I don't know what scenes he did, but like, usually a team of those guys. But I reached out to him and I sent him the Hulk Hogan Rockin' Wrestling graphic. And I'm like, I want to call this Moran and Friends. I'm like, do whatever you want, man. I literally said, I'm like, here's everybody's promo pictures. Go wild. Like, whatever you come up with, I'm fine with, because I trust him. He's done the Ant-Man graphic. He did the Mighty Militia graphic for me. He did the Dark Horse graphic with the horse and the crossed arms. He's done so much work for me. Like, I just trust him. It's kind of like my tattoo artist. Like, this sparrow right here,
Yeah.
I did not want on my arm, but my tattoo artist is like, I'll make it look good. I know you don't like sparrows, but it's the only thing that's going to fit there that's Japanese. I'm like, whatever, put it on my arm.
Yeah.
Like, if I trust you, I trust you.
That art, I guess that pretty much has you solidified for like another 8 to 10 seasons, because everyone's seen that art, and boy, did people explode. They're like, I want to be on this podcast. Look at this art. It's unbelievable. I want a cartoon of myself.
Everybody's doing it for their Twitter avatars.
Yeah, it's like it's grown so much, and I feel like you as a podcaster and just speaking and having that confidence to do that, you can definitely see. I've listened to every episode now. You can definitely see your confidence and your ability at doing it get better every episode.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, and like even like some people like Christina Marie, I didn't want to do the typical like, you know, where'd you start out in wrestling? What'd you do in wrestling? Like all that, because she's really trying to focus on powerlifting. So I figured let's dive into that. Let's just talk about that. We don't have to talk about wrestling. Like I'll bring the photos up. I always do the photos in mine. I was like, I'll bring photos up of wrestling and you could talk a little bit about it, but like, we don't have to like just do a structured, like you started training here, you know, you moved on to doing this promotion, that promotion, whatever.
Yeah. And it seems like that's really a luxury of knowing these people personally, is so much of any interview is that the whole first 20, 30 minutes is the getting to know you. You already know them. Yeah. And it kind of allows the listener to come in the door a little bit and feel like they're just kind of eavesdropping on a conversation.
Yeah. If you are watching live and you do have questions for Johnny, please drop them in the comment section. We'll definitely get to them at one point here if you do have questions for him. But go ahead. I'm sorry, what you were saying?
Oh, no, that's what I was saying. I want it to be kind of structured, like we're just having a conversation. And we're talking about our lives or whatever we're talking about. And that's like last night I told Big Dust, I'm like, if you don't want to talk anything about wrestling, we don't have to talk about wrestling at all. And he's like, well, no, I want to talk about wrestling. And he's like, Alex, you're going to send me my graphic, right?
He is, and I'm not saying this just to put him over because I really like him. Even if I never met the guy, I would say it. He's a genius. He's really just, he just gets it. He's just a genuinely funny human, even when he's not even trying to be. Like he's just he's just so entertaining. And him and Killian together are just like a 1-2 punch. Right. You cannot go wrong with either one of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
That most recent cinematic thing they released was fucking. I was dying.
Yeah, where they're dressed up like ladies.
Yeah. Hello. They did the Mrs. Doubtfire. And Erica Lee is a superstar as well. And we threw Darius in there. I was like, this is action packed. But out of everyone, so this is I've gotten this question as a podcaster, and it makes me uncomfortable. So I'm going to throw it at you. Out of everyone in season 1, who was your favorite episode?
I don't really have a favorite, and it's really hard to narrow one down. I would say, if I had to pick one, I would say it's Jason's, just because, like, I wanted to give him that platform. Like, I didn't know, like, I know he's kind of, like, pretty much on the outs of wrestling. So, like, I didn't know if he would ever get to tell his story on any other platform. Like, you know what I mean? It made me feel good that I got him to get his story out there on my podcast. You know what I mean?
I have a very interesting way I've met him. So I started working at my job, and every day at work I was wearing a wrestling shirt, and we're kind of walking through the mods together, and he kind of stops me, and we're in masks, and he has his facial hair, my facial hair, and his facial hair are smashing out the side of our masks, and he's like, oh, wrestling shirt. And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, I used to wrestle. And I was just like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, I was like, cool. And he's like, yeah, I used to work all these different promotions. And he was like, he didn't say names. He didn't say anything. He just told me he wrestled. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then I was like, all right, man, I want to like get you go, because like he's on like a task, and I didn't want to get him in trouble or anything. So like that conversation kind of happened 4 or 5 times. And I was like, yo, you said you're into wrestling. Like, have you ever, like, once again, in a mask, I don't know him. I didn't know anything about him. Like, you ever like wrestle like PPW or anything like that? Like, I have a bunch of friends that I've made through this whole business, and I start doing a wrestling podcast. And he kind of was like, no selling me. He's like, yeah, sometimes I was there a couple times. But I was like, not telling me really, not putting himself over, just really humble, really staying to himself. And then I said, well, who are some names, like people you, and he goes, and he literally, this is before I even said I was friends with you guys or had communication with you guys. And he's like, Scott Fineout, I really, really like, somebody I really enjoyed working with. He told me about his PPW, the time in the sanctuary. He enjoyed both those times. He put over Header without even me knowing. He put you over, he put Alex over, he put Paul Bow over. And I was like, you literally just named like the murderer's row of the people that helped me with this whole wrestling business. Like, I was a podcaster, and all these people open doors for me, and they're all great people. So the fact that you're saying them knows I picked the right group of friends and I'm in the right company. And we kind of like started talking then, and he's like, yeah, and he didn't even tell me like he was just like kind of like just really humble, modest. And then we were friends and would talk wrestling. And then he's like, yo, I'm doing Moran's podcast. So then I listened to it at work, and I came up to him in the mods. I'm like, dude, you are like, your wrestling mind is unbelievable. Like, how are you not a booker anywhere? Like, the way you set up storylines and the way you continue them, he's really smart. Like, he's a fucking genius.
No, completely agreed. And like, he's worked so many like names and people wouldn't even know it. Like, he worked Homicide. I can't even tell you how many times. Like,
yeah.
Like, he was there with like a lot of like the ROH guys when they first started. He's got such a good mind for storytelling. Like, you're right. Like, I don't know why he's not booking somewhere.
Yeah, I know right now it's kind of tough for him with work and the family situation, but man, he's a treasure. He definitely, if there's any time that we can get a resurgence, that would be the guy to dust off the shoes, or even just dust off like the mind, and just put him behind the scenes somewhere and just help a company grow, because he's just so about putting the other person over and making sure the other person gets theirs in before even himself. Like, he's so selfless. Like, he's just a good human.
Very much so. He did that with me. He did that with Keita Murray. He did that with Tommy Vex, John West, Killian, Jamie Senegal. Like, all these people that are out there right now, you know, he literally had a hand in putting them over, and each one of us he put over in a different way.
Yeah, such a good dude. Very, very happy I got to meet him. And then the other podcast, the one with your personal trainer, I was listening to it, and I was literally in the drive-through of Burger King, and they're just like, you gotta eat carbs and you have to stay away from that fast food shit. And I'm just like, I'll take a number 3. I'm just turning it down. I'm just like, I'll take a 3 large Coke. Yeah. Well, there's a reason that, you know, you are built like you are, and I'm built like I am. I eat like a scumbag. I don't have the willpower you do to be like, I can't consume these carbs and stuff.
We're in little. My one friend said that to me today. He's like, I don't understand how you lost that much weight and you stuck to this diet. And I'm like, well, I went back to Little Underoos, and you know that like makes me self-conscious every day. So it's really easy to get on the Stairmaster when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, I see photos of myself, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got to figure something out here.
It's like when the people would retire, they would always say, like, when Richard Petty, the race car driver, retired, he went out back and he buried his helmet so he could never like dig it up again. He put concrete over it. Johnny burned his singlet.
Yeah.
I gave my mom my singlet, and I'm like, hide this. Don't tell me where it is. Just hide this, because then all I have are trunks in there. So I have to be in shape.
Yeah, but I will say, if you haven't listened to it, check out Moran and Friends on the High Tension Wrestling Network. It's an unbelievable show. You do a fantastic job. You learn so much insight about so many talented people in the business, all people who I thought I knew and then learned more. And you do learn about their backstory, and you do learn about a lot of fun stuff, but you also get to know who they are as people, because it definitely shines through when two friends are talking. And it's not the same thing as if someone you were just interviewing someone you'd never met before, and the first time you turn a camera on, you're just meeting, which happens a lot with wrestling interviews. You've already built up that confidence and that chemistry with them, so you're just kind of learning about them, which is done really well. You get to watch some cool clips of them wrestling and some photos. It's a good time.
Thank you.
So we got to see you drop a title in one weekend, and I got to see you get a title one weekend. And before we get into any of those, I want to personally thank you, because my commentary debut wouldn't have happened without you. I mean, you put my name in at Sanctuary, and that place I fell in love with since the moment I walked in, because it's just like every other company I've kind of got a chance to work for. I feel like I'm extremely lucky, because every door that has been open for me has been with businesses and companies and talented rosters where everyone's so on a higher level. Like, everyone's just so talented, but they're willing to bring someone in to let them cut their teeth and let them get better, like the PPWs, the Sanctuaries, the Leapfrogs. And I come in like to these established places and I feel like I don't belong, or I don't deserve it, or I feel like I'm not on the same level as everybody. And everyone's just so welcoming and be like, no, we're going to help you get there. And it's awesome.
Dude, I listened to your commentary on my match. We watched Travis Dorn's match and Kit Raff's match, and you guys sounded great together. So
yeah, I definitely want to work with him more in the future. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, Pete's been doing that a long time.
I made Pete break. I was really proud of myself for that. I made him laugh to the point where he had to turn away from the microphone. Yeah. I'm still terrible with names, so I have to get better with that. But during the USA insert bad country here, like over babyface, during the proud to be an American, I gave him like the wait, and he was like, what? Because he was always leading, and I just kind of like chimed in. I was like, are you crying right now? You're crying right now. And he kind of looked at me. He goes, you know, this song it just does it to me. And I go, it makes you proud. And he just broke, like just started dying. Yeah. So it was a really fun environment. Boy, that building is gorgeous.
It's a former church, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the overall environment of just everyone in there to learn and not just to work on your wrestling, we'll say, because it is a stunt studio, but it is helping people develop, learn their character and how to do character development and look for the camera and look for, you know, where everything is and work on your promos and cut skits. It's really just, it's making you a well-rounded person working there.
Yeah. And I feel bad that you caught us on a bad tech day, because normally, like, when you would have gotten there, we would be filming skits. Like, he likes to film, like, we have 5 matches, we have 5 skits to lead in, and usually they'll play so you guys can watch. You have a little something to talk on to start the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he was even telling us possibly next time that we'll be involved in the skits. We're like, because the whole premise of that is it's a wrestling show inside of a show inside of a wrestling show. So you know it's a work. You're kind of peeling back that fourth wall. And like he was saying, like commentary, just like, oh my god, another fucking stupid baby face. Like we're like he wants us to like be like the guys in the Muppets, like in the crow's nest, kind of like like shitting on them, like, oh my god, hey, and we're back. You know what I mean? Like one of those type deals. And I was like, oh, this sounds really fun.
That was an idea somebody had in WCW, and I think they wanted to use it for Lex Luger, where I forget who it was, but they just called it Good Guy. And it was a guy who was like the shake hands, kiss babies, baby face, slapping hands with everybody. And then you would just see him backstage. He would be like talking about how dumb the fans are and how he hates working here.
They have a character like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's awesome.
They have the super baby face where the crowd loves him. And backstage, he's just an asshole.
That's great.
AJ Evers.
It's a fun company, man. It's definitely something people should get on their radar. And we need to start filling seats up there, because it's definitely more people need to experience that.
Yeah. I think that that past weekend was a tough weekend, because, you know, as much as PPW is not in Hazleton, like a lot of their fans that go to the Sanctuary go to PPW, and it's, you know, if you're going to that show, you might not go on the Sunday, because like you might be all wrestlinged out. And that came out because like the crowd we had the 2 weeks prior to that, there was about 100 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty packed.
It's cool because they're right down the street from one another, but they're two different approaches to the business, you know, and there's something for everybody. Like I like the campiness to it. I mean, I fell in love with Leapfrog because of that, where you can go and have fun and do all that. I'm not saying you can't have fun at other companies, but PPW is more your sports entertainment structured. Let's get the show in. Let's get it done.
Yeah, it's less like there's this new avant-garde wrestling, like Leapfrog, like Sanctuary. Bloodcraft, Blackcraft, which is no longer around.
Yeah.
So, and it takes me back to when we had Johnny's buddy Dr. Ethan Wild on a few weeks back, and he was like, "Yeah, there's so many different types," and I'm paraphrasing, but there's so many different types and kind of flavors of wrestling that just find the one you like.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the backstory going into that, if you want to walk us through a little bit, you can actually see the match. I believe the whole show is on Facebook if they want to watch it. But the premise to this was, you described it because the promo you cut was unbelievable.
Well, that's like the darker character for me. So when I left the Sanctuary, last time I wrestled at the Sanctuary, they had a live stream title, they called it, and then they had another title that they called the Spotlight title that they've completely redone now, that J.S. Hawthorne has. Not the belt that I had.
Yeah.
So I had both their mid-card belts. And Killian was the world champion. Marcy put his career on the line because it was a triple threat. And Marcy won everything. So me and Killian left. But we kind of didn't come back for season 9 when they had a season 9. So me coming back, it was like, and I always kept the dynamic with John in our promos because, like, in the beginning when I started at the Sanctuary, I was like, when I started, I was just like a regular baby face, and I would get jobbed out like weekly. And then Jason found me. We had that story, and I became John's guy. Like I was John's guy. It was me and Marcy. So me and Marcy would always be pinned against Jason and Jason's group, or whoever was in Jason's group, or whoever the bad guys were. Like, John would always have me and Marcy, and it was kind of like Marcy always would get the world title shot, but I'd have the mid-card belt or the tag team titles. It was never like, Moran, this is your time. You're going to get the world title.
Yeah, you always felt like you were second runner-up.
Yeah.
You were Arn Anderson to their Ric Flair, basically.
Right. So I got sick and tired of that, and I left. And then when I came back, it felt like, it was the kid that went away to college and didn't come home for Christmas break or didn't come home on summer break, just was like, I'm gone. Like, I left the house. Like, I pissed my dad off. I don't give a shit. I'm going.
And you flourished everywhere else you went.
Yeah. And that was my thing. I was going to leave. I was going to get better and then come back. And then when I did come back, I cut that promo. I got the world title,
Yeah.
And
not in the most clean way, but I mean,
no,
you got the job done.
Yeah. And, to pull the curtain back, like, I told Marcy that day, I'm like, dude, I'm going to be a dick out here. I'm like, I don't know if you have an older brother, or a younger brother, but like, you're the, treasured child. And I'm the one that they were like, all right, go out and do yard work. Like, go screw off with your friends, and you're getting all the treats at home. I'm like, I'm that pissed off brother. I have 3 brothers. I have a younger brother and 2 older brothers. So, not that, like, I feel less than with my brothers or anything like that. But, sometimes when you're at family parties and they're like, your younger brother has a kid in the house and your older brothers all have kids in houses, and they're like, oh yeah, then there's Johnny over here that's, doing the wrestling thing. That starts to get annoying, and that's where I kind of drew from.
Yeah. I didn't have, I mean, the thing with the Sanctuary to me was difficult because I didn't know much of the product going in. And that you know what I mean? But your match was just be seeing that one promo and the way that you as performers told the story while you were in the ring and between those ropes. It was easy for me to draw off of and kind of put the pieces in, and like, look at him talking trash. He always, and then like, I kind of just like roll with it. Like even with your gear, I was like, he's wearing the silver gear because he always felt like he was in second place here. And you know what I mean? Like, just really,
I heard all your lines and I'm like, they fit the story well.
Yeah. And there was really no prep there. Like, I didn't really have much to go off of. I was literally just feeding off of what you guys were giving us as like what you were doing as the entertainers, and it was done very well. The match was great. The crowd was hot because they're like obviously happy you're back, so they're very pro you. And then as the match went, you just kept taking more away from them, taking more away, and getting the booze, and then by the end, you use the end of the cane, take the roll up.
They threw a beer bottle. Goddamn Billy Walker.
Yes, they did. I just remember because they do the matches, then they take a 15-minute break, and then they do like the dark matches that all go to Facebook.
Mhm.
So I went to go use the bathroom, and the crowd's like, that fucking, like, they're like, what a piece of fuck. And I just texted them like, yo, they are hot right now. Like,
Had to hide in somebody's trunk to get out of the building, like you're wrestling Junkyard Dog. And
it was awesome. The crowd really bought into it. It was really, really fun. And it's cool because it's one of those things where, like, because Heidi was like, oh man, I really wanted to cheer, but she was actually taken back because she felt like she felt like she knows, but like there's a story behind the story and all that, but she was like, so it was her first experience of seeing crowds who knew that they were being worked but still buying into it and enjoying the show. So she was like, I wanted to participate so bad, but I didn't want to, like, I knew it wasn't like it's wrestling. I was like, yeah, but that's the beauty of it. You let your inhibitions down, you let your guard down, and you just go have fun. And she was like, I wanted to cheer so bad for the assassin guy, but you can't because the guy he's fighting was pure American, and I wanted to root for the bad guy. And
hey, you can root for the bad guys.
Yeah, and then she was like, I met the Maya V guy. And he said, and then, like, because she's been watching Young Rock, she heard that he said, like, Peter is his grandfather, and she's like, Peter, that's the height. Like, she knew it because she's been watching it. So she come up after the show, she's like, I know stuff. But yeah, I was like, look at you networking, Heidi. And she's like, this is your husband. He does a podcast. I was like, look at you at a wrestling show, getting it. Her first time ever. Yeah, she did all right.
He'd be a good one to have on here. He's got some series, man.
Yeah, I definitely possibly for the new show coming.
Yes.
It was announced on our live stream when we last night, but I don't know if I wanted to have Alex come and do it, so we'll do it at a later date. But a new show coming to High Tension.
Lots of big news coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun stuff. I forgot my place. Oh, well, let's get to our first question here because it pertains to tomorrow.
Oh boy.
So shameless promo for tomorrow. But how do you feel that Chavis Jacobs truly deserves to jump ahead the line to face Monster Mac for the title tomorrow after stealing a victory over you? Secondly, after collecting many titles recently, is the TCW heavyweight title part of your Peripheral Infinity Gauntlets and See You Tomorrow? By Rob Williams, which is part of the Bob Culture podcast that I got to make my debut on yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look out. Well, you know, it sucks how I lost, but I lost. You know, he beat me. It really sucks that he's the one that's getting the shot at Mac. But tomorrow I have Devontis. John West is not going to be there. I'm going to kick Devontis' ass. And then at the end of the night, make sure you all stay in your seats because once I'm done beating Devontis, I'm going directly to Steve Mac and I'm getting my match.
Yeah. Behind the scenes a little bit, how does it feel to have two great Washington football team fans square off in the ring tomorrow?
That's right.
It's pretty exciting to have that, you know.
Yeah. And yes, of course, the Titan Championship Wrestling title is a part of my Infinity Gauntlet. If you want to call it the Infinity Gauntlet, there's only 3 stones right now.
There's a lot on your resume, man. There's a lot of stuff you can go for because you are making so many appearances at different companies. I know PPW didn't go your way. Kind of quick, kind of, you know, those goons in the front row.
4 seconds like I had.
Yeah, those goons in the front row got in your head a little bit, lost track of where you were, took a Superman punch.
Actually, I want to thank you, Scott, for playing along with me, buddy. You know, I had to find some fan to play with, and Scott was the guy. Scott gave me the double birds. I hear the bell ring, turn around, get punched in the face. We got Andy Header as a champion.
Yeah,
it's the story we wanted. That's what we gave him.
I will say this though, it sucks to see you lose a title, but I don't know what the future may hold for you. And talking about chasing those Infinity Gauntlets, you're one of 2 people, if you can pull it off, to be a Grand Slam champion at PPW.
Yeah, this is true.
Just keep that in the back of your mind.
And one thing just from being there, that crowd came unglued for that 3 count. That might be the biggest, and I know you weren't there for the rest of the show. That might have been the biggest pop of the night.
I think it was.
And that's not just Andy, that's Johnny too. Like you need the hero and the villain for that.
Yeah. That show was crazy. Once again, just handed silver platter of a show to make your debut at.
Yeah, the fans were chomping at the bit for wrestling to come back. It was
the action in the ring was unbelievable.
It was.
I still think Casey Navarro and David Richards is the match.
They tore the house down.
I have the best independent match I've ever seen in my life. Jeff Carden's head was bleeding. I don't know if I know. Wait do you see the footage? Oh yeah, Carden's he bled all over the place.
What happened?
They just killed each other. And I think it was a 2 count, and it was a quick count or something.
I think
somebody
I think he
kicked
took some collateral damage.
He took a little bump from the kick out because they were just 1,000 miles a minute, and it cut him, and he was bleeding. Casey Navarro's eye was swollen shut. They went to war.
Yeah, afterward, Casey's like, I have to go to Vegas like this.
Yeah. Casey, they both left there. And worse for wear. That match took a little bit off each one of them, but boy, was it unbelievable to watch.
It is so nice to see that Davey Richards, even though he had that layoff, did not skip a beat. He is still Davey Richards.
Yeah. What a physique on that dude too.
He's put together.
Yeah. That was it was fun.
It amazes me that he's a paramedic and he wrestles.
He's going to med school now too. He's becoming a doctor.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to med school now.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
that was a crazy situation. I was literally mid photo with a fan taking a picture with them with Eric Redbeard. I put the phone down like I'll be right back, and I'm screaming like Paul, someone's down, and I run over, and I guess this person he suffers from this. This happens for him. Like he goes through it. He's trying to work his way through it. But when I ran over, I was like, "Are you okay?" And his parents were kind of like over him, and he quick sat up and he's like, "I'm good. And you could just tell he was embarrassed. Like he was trying to work through it, and I guess he couldn't control where he went down.
Right.
And that's where it happened, and he didn't want it to be like a spectacle.
Yeah.
So when I went over, he was just more embarrassed than he wasn't. He was fine, but he like something he's in control of. And I was like, all right, man. So I kind of like, as I start to walk away to make sure, like, 'cause I knew at this point he was fine, but he just didn't want people around. And the next thing I know, Davey's right behind me. He's like, I got this, man. You can head back. And he literally got up out of his autograph line and went and go check on this guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what a sweet dude.
He was, just a little behind the scenes. I was working with Tom Mitchell in they're doing the promos, and we did a promo with Davey and KC. You'll see on High Voltage, and we had a little production snafu, and they were super professional and super kind about it, and nothing but good things to say about Davey Richards.
Yeah. I went backstage and I was like, hey, man, I know I didn't get anything during the autograph signing or your merch table because I was busy, but do you have an extra large left? And he's like, absolutely. And he went in his bag and he pulled his shirts out and he bought one right there in the locker room off him because I was like, I was so impressed of his ability. And then I didn't really see him before this PPW thing, but you just put him over saying like how the Observer had him.
Yeah, wrestler, most outstanding wrestler, 2011, when he was doing a lot with PWG and ROH and a little bit of Japanese stuff. So Davey Richards is phenomenal.
I remember when he was a part of the Wolves, like when me and Mitchell were like teaming Mike Mitchell.
Yeah.
We used to watch the Revival and the Wolves and Impact. Yeah. Like those were the two teams we watched.
I saw him in 06 against Kenta.
Yeah.
At a Ring of Honor show. Phenomenal.
Jesus Christ. So what are some future plans for you when it comes to professional wrestling? What are some of your goals?
My goals right now, I want to get on the NWA. That's a current goal I'm working towards.
I feel that's a good fit for you. That roster, that production, that style of wrestling is right up your alley. You would fit in like a glove there.
Yeah, I could see you against like a Trevor Murdoch or somebody like in that vein.
Yeah,
that's a real good fit for you.
I mean, obviously there's AEW and WWE and NXT. I feel like at 32, turning 33 next Wednesday, I feel like I probably need to come in with a bigger name to even get like a snafu or even a look at. So I want to make the NWA happen because I feel like I'm a good fit there. As of right now, that's my main focus. That's my goal. I'm hoping to get at least a dark match or something before the end of this year.
Yeah, I think your mind state going into this now and your work putting into it with just your mind and your body and your ability and just getting better every time. I don't see it not being a thing for you, man. Like your work ethic is through the roof. I'm not saying it wasn't before, but I just feel like I feel like you put it into a different gear.
Yeah,
coming out of this pandemic. And
the pandemic made me stop and think. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing wrong, or what's getting stagnant? Like, I remember people used to tell me, they were like, what happened to you, like, always like having different gear and like wrestling all these places. I'm like, I still wrestle all those places. I'm just wearing the singlet all the time. They're like, I liked it when you wore all those different colors.
Yeah.
It made it look like you were like a lot more places than you really were. And I was like, I still have all the goddamn gear, like sitting here. And like I kept like I had that silver gear had to be altered because it was when I was a little bit bigger. That silver gear I had the December before the pandemic, and I didn't even debut it. And I was sitting here and I'm looking at the robe and I'm just like, I mean, I could wear this singlet, but it would look better with those damn trunks that I got.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, let's put this in another gear. Let's get your body back where you want to get it. And then, like I said, my friend Christina Marie in Vegas, I saw she was ripped. Like her abs were ripped. It's like, what the hell is she doing? So then she wrote this article, or like she put something up about keto. And I was like, all right, I was gonna look into this anyways, and I know her, so I just sent her a message. Hey, how can you explain this to like the dumbest person on the planet? Because
like Michael Scott, please explain this like I'm 5 years old.
Yes, exactly. And then she's like, here's 6 articles. Read all 6 of these articles and then report back to me. And then that's literally what I did. I'm like, all right, I think I got it. And she's like, download this app. Just like, and that's what I do every day. And like, even when I was bodybuilding, I used to track my food. When I don't track my food, that's when I get into trouble. Like, that's when my diet goes haywire. Like, I take too long, it breaks off. Or like,
yeah.
And I've been really strict on it. Like, I can go out and not have a drink and hang out and just have a good time.
Yeah, me
and
too.
That's what I tell myself.
Adina Steele, though, was very vocal at the sanctuary, saying that that silver and black is trademarked. You gotta pick some.
I told her, I'm like, just get PPW to book it. I'll job you in 30 seconds.
I tell you what, she had a fantastic match at PPW. Wasn't a fan of the run-in, but it is what it is. But hopefully they build to something bigger and better for building up a women's division there now, because with Christina and Adina there, then having the run-in, and then they Rembrandt brought a talent from House of Glory as well. So 2 people came from House of Glory. So you have 4 people now there running, and then Danny Moe coming back. Like, you're starting to get a little bit of a.
Now we have a celebrity guest coming in. One of the fly-ins is going to be Victoria.
Yeah, so there's build up a little bit of a roster there, which is exciting.
And they should be having 2 female matches. Every show should have 2 female matches, just because like the girls deserve the time just as much as the guys do.
Yeah, especially like Adina and Christina out there, like another 2 people during the pandemic who just worked and worked and worked, like, and it's paying off. I will say this about hitting that new gear, and maybe it's just common ground here between us, because I think during this pandemic too, we've kind of formulated like a clique. We have our own little clique here, and the thing about our little group is it's like iron sharpening iron. Even though we're in all different facets of this business and we're all doing something completely different, our overall goal is to just keep each other mentally checked, as well as accountable for each other and helping each other get to where we need to be. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the same way you're hitting your gear is the same way I'm trying to hit mine, because a guy like Alex Watt, like, the dude is just, he's a motivator, man. He definitely gets people where they need to be. He's a great friend. He's someone, when you're down and you feel shitty about yourself, you have a conversation with him and he puts you right back where you need to be. He's just overall a great human being.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, if I didn't meet him at PPW and Paul didn't tell me to go do an interview with that guy, I probably wouldn't be wrestling, because I was going down a deep slope of like, I don't know if I'm in this, my head's not really in this anymore, and like, he completely changed my life. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I consider him my best friend. And yeah, like here, a perfect example is Leapfrog. That was supposed to be once. That was supposed to be one show.
Yep. Now look at it.
Yeah.
First live show coming up in August. Like,
I know.
Fucking awesome.
Super excited.
It's one of those things where it's I know me personally, I didn't get a chance to go to be there live until like the 4th or 5th show. When I finally, the one after Love Frog is when they Frog Sport, yeah, Frog Sport, and being there is, it's like, man, everything that you see on camera translates then some and more what that environment's like after, and just knowing how far they've come, and knowing that someone like an Alex and Andrew are a part of that, and they're helping so much, and they're putting their work into it, and and all these other talents are getting over. I was emotional on the way home. Like, I was like, man, like I can't believe I'm part of something so special. Like, this is, I think when it's all said and done, this is going to be something people talk about for a long time.
Oh no, 100%. And it's really, like, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, this is a family here, but it's a family there. Like, that everybody's cool with each other. Everybody hangs out with each other. Everybody's saying like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's going on, man? Like, nobody's like talking shop about wrestling, to be honest with you. Like, we're all just talking about like our lives and like what's going on, like just hanging out, trying to have fun.
It's just a lot of positivity, and you meet people of all walks of life, man. Like, and then you meet people that you're like, oh my god. There's a few times at shows when I first was there for Frogsport, I was like, I'm just not going to approach people because I feel like I'm that guy, and I don't want to be a mark. You know what I mean? Like, but then like Darius is one where I was afraid to talk. Like, I was afraid to say anything to him, and I'm glad I kind of did, because like the guy, he's a good human. Like, he's a good person to have a conversation with, and he puts people over. Like, the guy, like he'll retweet our stuff for us, and we have that little banter sometimes where we're doing the heel face thing, and just a good person, man. There's like so many people there that I've completely fell in love with as human beings, that I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, that to be at that environment, it's just really special.
And somebody with that in mind, not Leapfrog, with PPW, somebody that we got to spend a little more extra time with than we had before was Rembrandt.
Yeah,
and it was really cool to spend some time with Rembrandt.
So
I want him so bad to come to camp. I put it to Alex. I said, Alex, tell him to just get in the car with that group of people and just come up, because he's such a fit for that place. Like, he would be I said, even if you're not booked, just get in the car, just come up and hang out and make yourself seen, because your presence and your character and who you are as a person, I guarantee they'll find a way to put you into something.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love Rembrandt. I didn't really know him before we did that 6-man at Impact. But then, like, once we did that 6-man at Impact with each other, I think it was a 6-man. Might have been an 8-man. I don't know.
Was it the 6-man where he? I don't know. Was it Impact or the one at the Christmas show when he smashed his shins off the guardrail?
Oh, I wasn't in that match with him, but yeah.
Holy shit, that was terrifying. But man, he showed his toughness there. I thought his legs were broke. I was like, well, that's the last time I ever see that guy. And he finished the match. I was like, you're a psycho.
Yeah, it could have turned out real bad.
And just seeing his process outside the ring, like just being in that promo room, and he's like off on the side, like just becoming Rembrandt, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
I mean, that's another guy I got a shot at AEW Dark.
Yeah,
which, you know,
it was one of the first of the locals.
I believe he was there was one before him that got an opportunity. He's not Voldemort. Like, we can't not say his name, right?
Of course you can.
Yeah, I don't know. Just for keep safe, we won't say anything. But yeah, it's I don't know. This whole wrestling journey has been unbelievable, and I really glad and thankful and honored that I'm sharing this entire experience with someone like you, and in our little group and our clique, and I'm happy to be a part of this, and just meeting new people every time has just been super cool.
You know, I completely agree with you, and I like you said, like, we all push each other, like, kind of like Tommy. I remember when Tommy came to Leapfrog, and Alex will tell you this himself. Like, I messaged Alex, I'm like, yo, Tommy's coming. I get to work him. And Alex is like, okay, like, who the hell is Tommy Vex? I don't like know him. and then he goes, he seems like a dick. I'm like, no, I swear to God. He's like, I was like, I promise you, this kid like should be on TV. Like, he just needs the stage. And I gave him that match at Leapfrog where, like, we did all this silliness because I knew if I could do silliness with somebody. And, like, he messaged me the night before. He was like, yo, like, what do we do at Leapfrog? And I'm like, dude, I'm a camp counselor. I'm like, his real job is a janitor. So I'm like, you should be a janitor.
It works so well.
He's like, do like he's like, should I wear my gear? I'm like, no, a janitor wouldn't wear his gear. A janitor would wear janitor clothes. I'm like, he's like, all right, well, we got to cover up my badge so I don't get fired. I'm like, we'll figure it out. I was like, just bring your stuff. I was like, get a plunger and make sure it's clean because you're not putting it on my face if it's not. And
on the toilet brush.
Yeah, and then we went out there and just, killed it. I love that match. It's like one of my favorite matches. And it was just because it was so goofy and fun, and I had a giant mustache. Made my life.
I would like to see. I know it technically isn't Leapfrog canon, but it was because it was filmed for New York, right? That's a promo with the initial time travel thing was a crossover between like a Leapfrog and you were shooting something for New York.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah,
we filmed that. Tommy filmed that whole thing. The Johnny Moran becomes a world champion. We filmed that whole thing. I immediately ran home and shaved that massive beard off to the mustache. And Tommy sat in my bathroom with me while I'm shaving. Me and Tommy have like the weirdest relationship. I love the kid.
I would like to see Tommy and Miles continue their thing. Sorry, man, for the upper deckers. That was you.
yeah, exactly. Tommy's going to be. The Goons will not be involved in Moran Goes to the Moon, but Tommy will be involved.
Cool.
And then
that's another stable that has exploded. The Goons, man, really blowing up on the scene.
Yeah, dude, those cinematics, and we talked about it the other night with Big Dust. Like those cinematics, it was their niche, and that's what they blow up.
But you're saying the Moran Goes to the Moon. I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I can't give too much away because we haven't filmed it yet. But the Chubby Daddy's going to be involved. The Celestial Daddy. What's he call himself now?
I think he's just the daddy of the galaxy now.
The daddy of the galaxy. So, see where we're going here. Moon, galaxy. There's another character that's with Trajan that I don't know if they debuted yet, but it's going to be amazing. And
I seen a post today where it said, pick your favorite independent wrestler right now. You only get one name.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is impossible.
It's a Sophie's choice for you. Yeah.
And I was like, if I had to really narrow down a pick without being biased and not picking a you or an Andy, it would be Killian. It would probably be my top pick.
Phenomenal.
And my second pick would probably be Trajan because he's fantastic in the ring and his character work and the way he can work a crowd is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he could be heel, he could be face, he could flip it on a dime. He's so insanely talented at telling a story in a ring when there wasn't even one to start.
Yeah.
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 Because he is what you always hear a good wrestling character should be. It's that guy turned all the way up.
Yeah.
That's Trajan.
Yeah. Huge fan of him. I was putting him over real hard to Brian, and we went to Outbreak, and he was at Outbreak, and by the end of the show, he's like, "Oh, I'm sold. I'm into this guy." That's when he told the kid. In the crowd.
There was a kid there's a really loud, obnoxious kid. And he's just saying he's going to marry his mom and send him to military school.
He's like, "I will date your mom and send you to military school."
Yeah. I love it. That's such a Trajan thing to do too.
And then we're at the GSW show, and he's just kissing everybody.
Kiss the referee.
Kiss the referee.
He's like, that was a slow count, brother. And he's like, yeah. And he just grabbed him and kissed him. He's like, I just kissed you in front of my lady. Yeah. Scott Fine out in the chat hanging out. Johnny Moran. This hobo. All right, then I'm in.
So Tommy Vex called Scott a hobo. My review episode. So Scott is this guy cool? And Scott decided to, play a prank on him today. And me and Alex were in on this prank.
Yeah.
So me and Alex hyped Tommy up with it, man.
I see it in the chat. Tommy was like,
he's gonna take all your stuff down off the goddamn website. Better apologize. This and then I literally I was like, my God, if you get my show taken off the website, I swear, Tommy, I swear. So then Tommy goes and apologizes, and then Scott just unleashes a promo on him. Absolutely oh, don't worry about your whatever.
If anyone deserves it, it's Tommy though.
Oh God, yeah. And Tommy could take it too, but like Tommy immediately was like, I don't think he's too happy with my apology. And like Scott wasn't answering for a couple minutes, and we were like, dude, we gotta tell him because like, and then it was funny because I'm like, dude, Alex, what if he's like on a cliff in like wherever the hell he is, Yellowstone National Park? Like, should I just jump? Should I jump? My career's over. And yeah, so then we revealed to Tommy, and he's like, oh.
Yeah,
like,
I was in the middle of an interview, and I'm reading it, trying not to laugh. I was dying.
Like, Tommy doesn't even get mad. He's just like, that was a good prank.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's dished out a few of those himself, so it was nice for him to get one back. So speaking of the network and speaking of podcasts, what is on the horizon for Moran and Friends season 2? You said you already have your first one recorded with Dust. What are some things to look forward to, and maybe some exclusives here for the Tornado Tag podcast family?
We have 4 different promotion owners on it this time.
Ooh, oh wow.
So like you're gonna get to see like how they got into wrestling, their story, like why they're really in love with wrestling. So I don't feel like the promoters really get the time to shine or explain like, hey, like, you know, I didn't want to do the wrestling thing, but this is why I wanted to create, or how I wanted to create, or what makes my company different from another company.
Yeah. I will say this, that one thing I'm happy about that's kind of happening, and it's happening kind of like behind the scenes with our little click scene, is that we're kind of like, I always make the joke, the elite, right? Because obviously everyone's like, oh, but their whole thing was change the business, right? Mm-hmm. Change the way things are done. The people we're around are about better locker rooms. They're about making better environments for everybody in the locker room, helping each other grow, helping each other get over, and working together.
Right.
And just the fact that you have all these promotions now, like we have a group chat, like there's 3 or 4 owners like in the same room together, and now you see like different shows are working with other shows, and promoters are working with other promoters, and it's just like it's a cool thing to really see, and I'm very happy to be a part of that, where you can go work somewhere else and be like, hey, like, you know, you guys are on the similar wave paint, maybe build bridges, or maybe even fix bridges that were once burned, but now make them whole again, you know, because the bad blood and that kind of stuff, and not having the camaraderie doesn't really help anybody. And if you can all kind of get on the same page and realize that the whole idea is for the love of this business that we all have, it just only helps each other out.
No, I completely agree, because I think all that stuff is just crazy. I mean, I obviously understand if there's like personal issues or whatever, but like don't involve the talent, you know.
Yeah, and just life is too short, and people aren't the same people they were 10 years ago. So this probably the beef you had 10 years ago is not even relevant anymore, and your people have grown, and I'm sure if they just had a conversation, that can all be resolved.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah. So season 2 Moran Friends. When does the Dust interview drop?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, and then you'll drop the cast or the photo and everything.
Yes, that should have been dropped already. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, and I have the links below if you want to follow Johnny. I have all his media, his Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, his merch page. Go buy some merchandise. He has a lot of cool shirts. If you want to buy a Moran and Friends merch, it's on there. If you want to buy the Dark Horse shirt, your old Ant-Man shirt.
I have everything on there except for the man stuff, because I don't want to get sued. Weird.
I say keep it on there until it happens, because then you can hang your cease and desist letter.
I could.
He is not an attorney, Johnny. Do not take his legal advice.
Yeah. But it's cool though. It's cool to say you got one.
Like, in that hole.
Yeah, I mean,
do this.
The Bucks got one and made a cease and desist T-shirt where they just put a blur over where they got in trouble, and then made even more money. So just keep in mind.
Got to think of these things.
I may not be a lawyer, but boy, we can ride out and do some fun stuff.
Didn't Jim Cornette do that too with Russo or something?
Probably.
Yeah, they've been at each other's teeth so much.
Yeah.
I know that when Brock had that lawsuit, when Lesnar had that lawsuit for getting out of his WWE contract, and he won, and he was able to work like Japan and stuff, he very briefly called the F5 the verdict.
Oh shit!
Which is really good.
Do you have any questions for Johnny?
No, I think we covered a lot of the stuff. Anybody that stood out as far as like, just because one of the things we did to kind of prep was just running through some of the matches you had on Cage Match, like just people like Glacier, MVP. Was there anybody like that you ever got in the ring with that were like kind of starstruck maybe early in your career?
Yeah, for about like 5 seconds, because like it was weird. Like I've been listening to wrestling podcasts since I was very young and stuff like that, and I always remembered the Jericho talking about how he walked in a room and there was Hogan, Flair, Savage, Sting, Lex Luger, and he like walked in the locker room, put his bag down, went into the bathroom, and like went into the stall by himself and went, and then he was like, "I'm here now. I'm with them. They're my equals," and then walked back out.
Right.
So that's always been in my head. I'm not saying I'm equal to them at all,
But you have to put yourself in that mind state.
You're their colleague.
We're co-workers. I'm not saying I'm better than you or anything, but we're working together. We're co-workers. I don't freak out when I see my coworker at work. You know what I mean? So
I got to learn this because I'm not good at this yet. I think I perceive myself that I'm good at it, but in my head, I literally mark out for everybody. Every single person on the roster to me is Ric Flair because I respect what they do. I'm just being honest. That's how I treat. Like first time at Leapfrog, I was like, "Holy shit!" There's Marlon McCoy. There's Boomer Hatfield. Holy shit! There's Matt Mikowski. I was like, "This is crazy. I don't deserve to be here. Why am I?" I'm like, this song "Creep" is playing in my head. Like, I don't belong here. Like,
but the one time I had that like moment would be the first time I ever worked with a name, and it was Shane Douglas. So, mind you, when I was a little kid, like I used to wrestle in the basement with my brother, and I was the franchise Johnny Moran, and I had you know those beads that you put around the Christmas tree?
yeah.
I used to wear them and think they were my robe, and I would spin around and like pretend to be Shane Douglas because he was like he had the ponytail and the streamers on his boots and stuff. Like I just thought it was dope. So I was like, oh man, I want to be like him. So fast forward, it was supposed to be me, Keita Murray, and Kit Raff versus the Extra guys and my partner, Dan. And then Mitchell already knows like me wrestling as a little kid. So he's over there talking to the promoter. Keita gets moved into a match with James Ellsworth before the WWE thing.
Yeah.
And they come over and they're like, or Mitchell goes, "You're teaming with Shane and Kit." And I'm like, "What about Keita?" And then he's like, "Well, they're moving him into another match." And I'm upset because I'm like, first of all, and then I don't even ask. I don't ask like Shane who, nothing. I'm just like, I don't want this fucking Shane guy on our team. Like, I don't want to be with some guy I don't know. This is like my third or fourth match, like period, ever. Like, I'm like, man, this sucks. So I'm already like, I'm not in a bad mood, but I'm like, man, like, we had this whole thing planned out. It was going to be easy. And now this other person we don't freaking know is going to change everything. And the promoter walked by me. I'm like, where's Shane? Because we want to like talk and call the match. And he's like, oh, he's 3 doors down. So I go 3 doors down to the locker room. Open the door. Shane Douglas has the fucking trunk of the tights on. He's tying the boots.
I'd have been like, are you fucking kidding me? That's literally what I was said out loud.
Yeah, I literally like I had that freeze moment, and I'm like, don't look like him. I froze like this for a second, had my hand out, and I'm like, don't be a mark. And then it, like, I don't know what happened, but it just clicked, and I was like, I'm John, and he's like, Shane. And then Sabu was like pacing back and forth in the shower. I'm like, there's Sabu pacing back and forth. How weird is this? So then Mitchell and the Extra guys came right behind me, and that's the only match my dad ever got to see me wrestle in.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah. And like my whole family was there because it was in the CYC where I watched wrestling when I was a little kid. So like this moment was just huge for me. I know it was a 6-man. I know I was in the match for like 0.5 seconds.
You're still there.
Yeah, and then like at the end, like Shane raised me in Kit Raff's hands, and like he hugged us both, and he like whispered in her ear, like, you know, you guys are the future of the business. I believe in you. And I was like, oh, God damn.
That's another guy I'm a huge fan of. I love Kit Raff. He's super talented.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had my first with the meet and greet at PPW because you know PPW you get pulled all over the place, like help here, help with this, help with that. So
Right.
I'm walking around with my green notebook, like I'm gonna walk around and take notes of every wrestler and find out what I have to get over. And Brooke was like, not a fucking chance. She's like, you're gonna come with me, you're helping with meet and greet. And I was like, what do I have to do? They're like, just stand there. And I was like, okay. And they're like, who am I standing with? They're like, Eric. And I was like, Redbeard? And she's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I just kind of stood next to him, and he was playing on his phone. And I was just like, sup? And he's just like, hey. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awkward. And he goes, not for me. And I was just like, awesome. And then like, I was like, oh, this is going to be horrible. And then like 5 minutes in, we just start bullshitting. And I was just like, this dude's fucking awesome. Like it was so cool. Once the crowd kind of would go away and like it was just us, like we were talking a little bit, and he's like, yo, let's go. Never sit at an empty table. So then we walk over to the Ascension table, and it was us three hanging out. I was like,
He doesn't want the Virgil picture getting out. That's why I didn't want to sit at the empty table.
that's like don't sit at the empty table.
Wrestling superstar Redbeard. No,
Yeah.
he doesn't want that.
So he was, I don't know, it was just really cool. That was my first time. Like, I mean, I got to meet people. Like, I got to bump into Billy Gunn at a PPW show, but I just ran away because I was like, he's huge. I'm out of here. But like, Redbeard's like the first guy I actually talked to, like, actually had a conversation with, and it was like, it was different. I don't know. When you see someone on TV for like 6 months, it's different. But I haven't had, no offense to Redbeard, but I haven't had a Shane Douglas moment yet where I had a guy I was like, holy fuck, this is.
Yeah.
My wife met Shawn Michaels. I never did. I was that still kind of eats me a little bit inside.
And yeah, as far as like, because I was doing a lot of the running and grabbing people for promos and stuff, and I unfortunately I got better as the night went on, but Johnny got the brunt of me. Like, I don't know what to say here, because I'm like, I don't want to bother these people while they're doing stuff. And I'm like, Johnny, we need to do a pre-match post. She's like, yeah, they're two different things.
Yeah, that's what you did. You're like, we need a pre-match and a post-match. Wait,
what I mean to say, it's making sense in my head, is we need you to do a post-match, but we're going to do it before the match. But I didn't say that.
Yeah. I tell you what, you guys did a fantastic job. I wanted to really put you over because it's one thing to get that done, and sometimes those postings are hard to get, and you have a very small time frame to get people in their gear and get people when they're willing to do it. And for how much content you guys got is unbelievable. And that's not an easy thing to do at a show. And I thought you and Mitch killed it. And I'm excited to see like that team kind of flourish because I thought you did really, really well.
Yeah, it got easier as it went along. Like after the Davey Richards, Casey Navarro, I'm like, okay, well that's gonna be like the hardest it's gonna get. From here on, it's gonna be smooth sailing.
Yeah, you guys did a fantastic. I can't wait to see the high voltage just to see how you guys did and how much content you really got. Because going in, I think your list was what, like 5 people.
Yeah, we wound up getting a lot more. Like,
you got a lot of people, which I think is good. I would say for even us back in the day, we were trying to film our stuff.
Yeah,
we were just in the way, and when people are getting pulled to like 3 different podcasters and they try to get stuff with Mitchell, I just feel like it just worked better all.
I think I think we're gonna have a much better selling point for the July show because that room is air conditioned and it's probably gonna be quite hot in that building.
Oh yeah, that room was beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice.
I snuck in there a couple of times, but Is there any talent besides the ones we've kind of listed here today of people who really have motivated you, have got you through some times, or some people you would really, really like to work with?
Motivated me, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Samoa Joe, CM Punk. Those are all the guys I watched while on the stair stepper, like beating the piss out of myself on a stair stepper.
Yeah.
Ric Flair, obviously. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson. Those are other guys. Like I'll put those guys on, and like usually I find like those like highlight videos of all of them.
Yeah.
Just because like I don't want to watch a match when I'm trying to like kill myself on a stair stepper. Like I can't focus enough that long. So like usually when they're saying like their famous promo lines and stuff like that, it gets my like blood pumping and getting me through. You know,
by the time you come back from commercial, I'm gonna be naked. What are some of the matches that you have watched or that you have been in that have been some of your favorites?
I had a really good match with Bobby Ocean. He's from Test of Strength out of Connecticut, Travis Jacobs, the match that Bob talked about. He's someone that we literally met at the Goddesses of War because he dates Notorious Mimi, and I date Christina, and like we both were like the boyfriends that were just like at an all-women show, so we just kind of ended up like he knew me, I knew him, and he was just like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Hey, dude." And I'm like, "How's the Monster Factory?" He's like, "Good." How's BBW? And I was like, "Great." And then like we just started a casual conversation, and I remember leaving there, and I remember telling Christina, I was like, "Man, I really want to work him." Like, he like when you connect with somebody just from like bullshitting, sometimes you're just like, "Man, I really like to work them." Like. And we had a good match, and like we left a little bit of a story so that like in the future it can be continued. I'm looking forward to working Devontis tomorrow because I'm only teamed with Devontis.
Yeah, I'm excited for that match. It's gonna be fun. You guys. Devontae's is still, I mean, fairly new for the most part. Like he and the COVID didn't really help the situation, and he just gets better every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's somebody. I was really close with Tunku because Tunku Amir used to come to Excellence all the time, set up rings. And like all that kid cared about was going to Applebee's after the show. And I was like, man, this is the nicest human on the planet. Like he sits here the whole goddamn show, does camera work if we need camera work, like helps take down the ring, helps set up the ring, and all he cares about. Like I remember the one time like he looked at everyone and he's like, "We're still going to Applebee's, right?" And I'm like, "If no one else goes, I will go with you because like, bust your ass here, man." But then him and Mike Skyros came to Excellence when Dave got the new building, and they killed it. Like they had an insane match. And I asked Tunku, I'm like, "Dude, like, where are you getting bookings? Are you getting bookings?" Like, I'm like, "Why don't you check out New York Championship Wrestling?" And he came in, and then they kept him with me. And then he was like, "Well, I'm kind of in a group at Chikara and the Crucible." And he's like, "There's 3 of us, and I don't think Jet could make it up. Like, he does a lot outside the ring.
Yeah.
Rapper, no one knows him. He's actually very good."
Yeah, he's super entertaining too. He's just he's funny.
He's entertaining as hell, and then on top of it, like he's actually a good rapper, like that I could sit down and like listen to. He couldn't make it, and I remember seeing Devontis, and I was just like, "Why haven't you told me about this guy? Like, look at him. Like
he has a great look.
He doesn't need to do goddamn anything. Like, just look at him." And Tunku's like, "I'll see if he'll come." And then he ended up coming, and then he was there like every month after that. He was in my group too. But we've tagged together like a bunch of times. I think me, him, and Wes tagged at 6-man, and then I just tagged with them like me and him tagged.
Yeah, Wes is funny too. I don't know if I told it on air or anything, but when at the WXW show, when you were talking, I kind of just walked up to like tell you where we're going after. And Wes kind of looked at me, and I was in my Moran shirt, so I looked like it's this complete mark. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, and he kind of looked at you, and you guys had this like hidden conversation with your eyes, where you're just like, "No, he's not. He's not like a fan. He's actually with me." And he's like, "Oh man, you can't come up to me like that because I have to immediately be a dickhead to you." Because
he gave me the look of like, "Is this a worker or is this like a fan?" Because if it like, and I will tell you a little story about him. He absolutely hates the merch game and doing anything with merch. And he has t-shirts and stuff, but he like just hates it. He like much would rather like if like the company sold it and then he got the profit.
So he would be perfect for a Teespring.
Yes. And that's what I told him, but he is technologically like declined.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fun dude. And then like I guess then I see him the next day at Sanctuary, and he kind of like gave me like the, "All right, I remember you. Now you're up here now. What's going on, man?" But it was like he gave me the look like, "Do I have to be a scumbag to this person?" Because I'm completely staying in character. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yo, you can't come up to me like that without telling me." Like I have, because he takes it super serious, which is it's good. Like kayfabe is 100% alive with him.
Yeah, no, he keeps the heel gimmick 24/7. Like especially like with fans, like he loves being a heel. Like, he hates being a heel.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely loves being a heel. And then, like, he also gave me that look, like, to tell me to, like, get the F out of there because, like, we've had, like, so many feuds at, like, WXW, Sanctuary, PPW. The only place I don't think we feuded is New York Championship Wrestling. And it's because I was just like, dude, we can't wrestle each other anymore. You're in my group here.
Yeah. So anything that we missed that you want to cover before we get you out of here?
No. I think
well, I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out. Now we got to do it with video because I think the last time it was just audio only. What's that?
That one was just on the phone, and we found out we both have love for Notre Dame and the team at Washington together.
Yeah, the Washingtonians.
The
Washingtonians. Yeah, the future of the NFC East for a long time, right?
There's never a long time in that division.
There is now.
There hasn't been a repeat champion in like 15 years.
It's gonna happen this year. Repeat.
It could. It definitely could.
They're gonna go 4. We're gonna go like the next 6 years. Just give it to us. Season's over. Just stay home. But dude. Johnny, I love you to death, man. I wish you nothing but success. We will see you tomorrow. Get to hang out at Titan a little bit and stay safe, man. And keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, everyone follow the links below. Go show some love. Get some merchandise. Subscribe to Moran and Friends podcast over the High Tension Wrestling Network. You can search it at all your favorite platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google. Just type in Moran and Friends, and it'll definitely pop up. Keep an eye on the High Tension page for news and announcements, and definitely subscribe to the High Tension Wrestling Network's YouTube page where you can watch the interviews back, because they are also audio and video. It's definitely a podcast where you can listen to it. That's the way I consume it. But you can also get the video aspect where you get to see the matches they're talking about.
Yeah, and if you are doing the audio, maybe even like listening to it in the car, so it's almost like you're in that car making the town with the guys, and you're just hearing this kind of peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, they do a great job. I'm excited for season 2. Johnny, you're killing the game, man, and
thank you.
I can't wait to be rooting for you at NWA.
Oh, thank you. All right, thank you for having me, guys. Seriously.
Anytime. Thank you. The door's always open. Here's some Billy Trey with our outro music, and we'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.